Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. My name is Adam Ponophobia Cogswell. As you can see, we have an overlay. We are finally live, but there is no video. And it's because we just had setting all that up. We're just going with the overlay, and we're getting hit with this big storm, and there's a bunch of shit going on.
Long story short, people are having issues.
We're having issues tonight, but we're live, and we get to talk Bard, and we get to do all these other things, and it's really weird. Like, I'm not actually hosting this, so it's really weird to, like, host, but not be able to host on Twitch.
You'll manage.
I'll manage it.
Yeah, you'll.
Anyway, all right, I have two quick announcements. I want to get through these really fast because people have been yelling at me again. You've been spending too much time on announcements. First and foremost, we have been nominated for a podcast award. If you guys remember, we talked about that quickly. We had people go out there and nominate us. We are going against some of the big names out there. And while I don't expect to win, I would really, really like to win. And I would think, and then in order to help us win, I'm giving away RP. So here's how this is going to happen. Every single day from today until March 24th, you need to go to podcastawards.com. Search for Trinity Force, click the little bubble, radio bubble next to it. Go to the bottom, put your name and your email address in, and then press submit. Then you got to go verify your vote in your email. Once you've done that, send us a screenshot of that you voted to contest@trinityforcepodcast.com. Every day that you enter gives you an extra chance to win RP, and I'm giving away, I think I said like $30 in RP for this. So I want everybody that's listening to go and vote for us and get out there and take care of this, because every person who sends contest@trinityforcepodcast.com a screenshot of their daily vote, bonus points if you have a timestamp, so I know what time you voted, you're in the running. I'm going to randomly select people to win RP through that, which is awesome. Like, we want to win this. Podcastawards.com. We had a lot of fun last year. If you remember the restream, DeClawd was there and Tshirt was there. And we watched it, and then we were like, we didn't win.
You were making fun of people.
Yeah.
That was my favorite part.
We were making fun of
all the people that walked up there. That guy's still looking.
The average drunk level when we watch that should be pretty high.
I was pretty drunk, but I always am, so there's that.
I mean, that this year we can one up that.
Oh, absolutely. I'm going to get all like 12 people together on that night. Like, do that big 12-person cast that we did. You guys remember that for what, episode like 200? We're going to do that again. But yeah, so podcastawards.com. Go send it in, contest@trinityforcepodcast.com. You can win RP. On Twitter, there's going to be RP contests going on from here until the end of March before we launch the Patreon, where I'm going to be giving like $10 away in RP here and there. I'm getting you guys ready for like the Four Wards podcast, which comes out in 2 weeks' time, actually.
Nice.
And so in order to get that ready and get you guys following at Four Wards with the number 4, that we're going to be giving away RP. So do follow us on Twitter at TForcePodcast. Lastly, if you don't want to donate at trinityforcepodcast.com/donate, you can actually purchase a King DeClawd t-shirt at teespring.com/KingDC. Now, we have 21 of those t-shirts sold, or has it been up since the last time I checked? Let's go here real quick. Hold on. It's coming.
Nobody
22.
knows.
We have 22 t-shirts sold so far, which they are about roughly $20 shipped. I've noticed when I did it in Ohio, and there's no tax in Ohio, but there was in Kentucky. It was like 95-cent sales tax. So there might be sales tax depending on your state and the internet rules and all that kind of crap, but you know what you got going. But roughly $21 shipped for one of these t-shirts. You directly support the podcast. We want to reach the goal of 50 t-shirts sold, and that's 14 days left. Now, if you order one, you're going to get a t-shirt because we only had to hit 10 to get them out there. But they're really sweet. They say King DeClawd on the front. They're royal purple for, royal king. You get it? That's why they're purple. Yeah. And,
Most expensive dye back then.
Exactly.
And a nice little crown.
That royalty.
So yeah, King DeClawd. Again, that's teespring.com/KingDC.
Do we get royalties for those, by the way?
We do get royalties. These are directly supporting the podcast.
Royalties, King DC. Yep. Try to sneak it on by.
I'm really not a big fan of barley wines, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
Oh, yeah?
Anyway, let's move on. So we have Mitch. I didn't go through everybody's here. Mitch from the LCS Rundown is with us this week. Hi, Mitch.
As I signal the camera, even though we're not doing video live.
Cheer is here.
Hi.
Punch.
Hey.
Days.
Hey.
DeClawd.
Howdy.
Okay, so 5 of us. The reason I'm bringing Mitch back here is because he wanted PvE access. What? What? I know there's 5 of you and 1 of me. I don't count myself. There's 5 of you.
We don't count you either.
Oh, okay.
Poor Adam.
Okay, so
Adam, this is just not your night tonight, man.
but I look good. They can't see it, but I look damn good with my haircut. Okay, maybe the other people watching YouTube will be able to see it. But anyway, I brought Mitch on because Mitch got to play some Bard this week. I know Days, did you play Bard?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, cool.
I got a couple games.
I wasn't sure. So yeah, Days played Bard, Mitch played Bard, DeClawd played Bard, Punchinello played with Bard.
I
and
played
Shira and
Bard
I
earlier
did
today
nothing.
against
There you
bots in the jungle. It was sick.
His
wants
player
to
must
take-
be insane.
Who wants to take discussion? Who wants to jump right in and just go ham with Bard?
I'll go. Bard. All right. Bard the Wandering Caretaker. Days. And he is a fun champion. He is designed as support. He is a little different. There is one aspect of him that it gives him kind of a mini game for himself, where only he can see these little chimes that randomly spawn around the map, and you got to go pick them up. When
They
you
have the
pick them
best
up,
name.
chimes.
Yeah, the name Chimes.
Yeah, you
They're-
just chimed in on that. Thank you.
Yeah,
Anyway,
got
the little Meeps.
Yeah, those are the things. Sorry, that's the best name.
All right.
Claude, well, before we keep going here, you're a little hot, by the way. So, you know.
Oh, let me back off the mic. All right, here we
Yeah.
go.
All right, keep going.
Anyway, that's the one thing about him that I don't really like. I guess it encourages roaming to an extent, I guess, but you're going to roam and you're not going to help another lane because you're going to sit there trying to collect chimes, and you might bait yourself to a bad position. So I guess good counterplay against Bard is just having good vision, just like everything else, and you can catch him out trying to grab his little chimes. But I guess we should go over his abilities. Thanks for Tshirt talking about the Meeps. The Meeps are these little dudes that kind of whisper creepily in your ear when they spawn.
Oh, they're so creepy.
I love them. I don't know what
They
no,
whisper these
they're
little things into your ear, and because Bard
Yeah.
doesn't actually talk, he doesn't have a voice.
Right,
The
he just
Meeps,
makes
like, they kind of
screams.
talk, but you can't really hear what they're saying. They're like these little creepy
It's
voices
another
that
language.
whisper in a
So, in other words, there
alien
is
language.
meeping.
Yeah.
But anyway, if you're not collecting any chimes, just one Meep will spawn every 12 seconds. Well, after you use it. If you use an auto attack, the Meep is going on cooldown. He disappears. What he does is he adds some damage to your attack, and as you collect chimes, it enhances that attack for a little cone of damage behind where you attack, etc. But without any chimes, you just have one little Meep, and he does some damage on your attack, and then he's gone for 12 seconds, and he comes back, and then your next attack is empowered, quote unquote. So it's not really that much in your control. However, as you collect chimes, every 5 chimes, there's an additional effect, and I haven't found a pattern. I don't know if it's random or not.
There's a
There's a
pattern to where
pattern
the
I have
chimes
I've got the
spawn.
number. I've got the number on it. It's,
Okay.
So every 10 chimes, the damage goes up, and every, I guess, multiple of 5 that isn't a 10, its utility goes up. Where it'll either be like the first one adds a slow, then you get more. Is it more chime or is it quicker time? No, you spawn more Meeps next, and
an
then it's
extra
like,
Meep, yeah.
and then you get the splash damage, which also applies the slow, and then it's like quicker Meeps, and it keeps rotating between those. So
But-
you eventually get a bigger slow, bigger amount
Then
you
it
can
caps
hold,
out.
and a quicker cooldown. Yeah, it caps out eventually, but it's at like 150.
No, it does
chimes,
not
so-
cap out.
Yeah, the damage is not capped.
No, the
No.
number of them caps out.
No,
The number of
the
them-
number
Oh,
of
sorry,
meeps,
my bad,
yes.
my bad.
Yeah, the
But
number
then
of
after
meeps
that,
does.
every chime you collect adds 20 damage, I think, at the max.
Jeez.
Every
It's
5
still
chimes.
Every
for
5.
150.
Every 5 chimes, I'm sorry. It'll add some
20
damage.
damage.
20 damage. So
That seems like a
but
lot of
you max
Meeps
at
to
4.
collect or chimes to
It
collect.
is.
So let's say
It's an
you
insane
collected
amount.
yeah, I had 150 I think when I had 4, something like that. But I just went around a custom game collecting chimes to see what it was.
I think
This is real application.
How long did that take?
It took a while. It was a long game. I should have
There was
recorded it.
there was some number calculation on Reddit that was, I think it took somebody 4 hours of collecting Meeps to get to level 18, or sorry, collecting chimes, and
Oh, just
Oh.
even that for experience?
just experience there. That's
Yeah, you
the
get
only
a
way to
flat
get
number
it.
of experience.
Right, we
set.
didn't talk
Yeah.
about that. It gives you some experience, and then it restores a % of your mana.
8%
Yeah,
of your
out of
missing
combat
mana.
speed.
When do these chimes start spawning on the map?
Immediately.
Right away.
Wait,
they, well,
isn't that
not
kind of
immediately, but
broken?
pretty much before minions spawn.
It's 50
can-
seconds.
But then I think I did a
every
few
50
games.
seconds you get some.
Every game, yeah. So there were sometimes 2 will spawn. sometimes 1. I don't know if that's a pattern or
It's,
random.
I'm looking at the LoL wiki, and it's always 2 except the second and third spawn when it's only 1, which is okay. I don't know what the point is
Okay.
there except to maybe prevent you from getting 5 within
Okay,
three
so
spawns.
if they are spawning starting at 50 seconds, and it starts with 2, right? There's 2 that immediately spawn at 50 seconds.
Randomly on the map, mind
Correct.
you.
Right.
Can they-
So it could be in the enemy jungle. But if you collect those 2 because it's random, doesn't that give you a leg up on the bottom lane? Like you were getting a flat amount of XP. Is that like 1 minion's worth of XP? How much XP are you getting?
First of all, only 1 spawns at the 50-second mark.
Okay.
No, 2 do. 2 do.
2 do.
Oh, that you said the
beginning.
first and third time they
The
spawn.
second and third.
Okay, second and third. Whatever.
This is a weird champion, guys. This is going to be a really
Right.
weird person to understand.
But
Right.
Mitch was saying there is a range that the chimes are limited to. Meaning
Around
they
you?
don't
Yeah,
spawn
it
completely
seems
randomly
that-
across the map.
Yeah, when you go like bottom lane, when I had him in a custom game a second ago, and my first 2 spawned in my side bottom lane. Like I had stayed in Fountain the whole time for this, and I was kind of surprised by it. But when Punch and I were playing, when you stayed bottom lane, it wouldn't go anywhere past middle lane for sure, and usually wouldn't go more than halfway up the river, and kind of like in an arc that would encompass the 2 jungles. You could get some that were next to your opponent's outer turret, but it was it stayed close enough to you so it was feasible to pick up and you didn't have to go all the way across the map. But when you roamed, it started increasing that radius, and you
Right,
could
as you're
find
roaming,
it in
yeah.
you could find it in different areas that are not so accessible. So it's kind of weird if you I don't know if somebody's going to learn how to time that when they want to
No.
go roam and say, okay, now they won't spawn, so I can go grab them, and they won't
Problem
go
is,
into a weird area.
it could pop it in the enemy jungle bot side.
Right.
I've noticed
Yeah,
it was
can.
popping there, so that's still dangerous.
How many of these chimes can be up at any one time? And is there any like interaction that the enemies can do to keep you from getting chimes other than just keeping you
They
from
can't
walking
see
over them? Okay,
They
so
can
they're
see
only
no, you can see them. You cannot
Enemies
see
can't
the
see
mini
them.
map. No, you can see them. I saw enemy.
Oh,
enemy.
yeah,
bars
yeah. On the
monster.
mini, you're right. On the mini map, you can't see them.
okay.
Yes.
Can you pick up enemy
they
Bard's
can't-
chimes?
They can't, no, you cannot.
No.
Tried that in a 2 Bard game, and they
Why-
last for 10 minutes, so you have
Okay.
forever to pick them up. But yeah, you can see it, and so you can kind of say, okay, I know where a chime is. This is where we can go try to pick off Bard later. But I was trying to think about this. It's not really that advantageous because when he's going away from the team, he's not going to do anything in a team fight. So you might as well just let him go pick those up, and he's not really affecting anything. That's when he's only going to be effective is when he's near his team or with a long range ult. But we'll get there.
I haven't tried it against enemy Bard, but you said you can see him. Can you see him? I know Bard can see them through the fog of war on the map. Can enemies see them through the fog of war?
No.
No.
You have to get vision. Okay.
So if you can see okay, never mind. That only works with blind pick games. Then it doesn't work with rank because, like you said, you have to be a bard to see it. Going back to the XP things, I want to reel this conversation back in a little bit since it's kind of getting we're getting crazy with
Well,
we're
the
getting
chimes because
meat
they're
fever.
the new feature.
There's a lot of shit going on with this champion.
Okay, so to
Yeah, there
recap, 50 seconds we get 2, and then more start spawning. I don't care about spawn time. More start spawning after that. Do they infinitely spawn, or do I have to go pick one up to get another one to spawn?
They infinitely spawn. You could
Okay.
have as long. They just last 10 minutes. That's the only restriction.
Gotcha. Okay, so now if I pick one of these up, does it say on the? I don't have the wiki in front of me. And I should have it up right now, but does it say how much XP one chime gives?
It's 20. It's a flat 20 throughout the whole game, which I think is
Okay.
something they might change because that doesn't scale very well later on.
At
But
all,
that's
right?
that's what it is right now. No, not at all. It's straight 20.
In the games that we were playing, Mitch did fall behind, even though he was getting the experience from his chime, so he was roaming. It was inevitable that he would fall behind the experience in bot lane.
So I'm not. Wait, what is this? Oh, I was trying to look up XP to level 2, and I saw that it was 90 and was really confused until I realized that was for summoner level,
So,
and
to-
that's not exactly the same thing.
To give you guys an idea of experience, at level 1, a caster minions give 32 experience every time you kill one. That's the caster minion. So a chime gives you 20. So this does give you a leg up in bot lane if you're able to pick one up before you go down there, meaning that the support could hit level 2, right? But does Bard's level 2 matter?
Not
Not so-
significantly.
Not really.
No.
Well,
I mean,
What I did is I started with his W, which is a healing well. You can place those up to 3 at a time, and what's the time that they last? They last quite a long time.
Oh
they're
yeah,
forever.
they last for
They're
you
forever?
can just
Okay, until you run over them.
No, it's actually forever. It's not a time limit at all.
Or until they're until they're expired or used, whatever. So I would set one between. Let's say I started blue side. This isn't a custom game with bots, but I did it anyway just to test. I put one between Krugs and the red buff in case the jungler started there. He'll get a little heal on his way to the red buff, and then I threw another one in the lane bush as a retreat option. You could put 3 up at a time before the game starts, pretty much, and still have your mana back. So I like starting with W. So an early 2 would give you that Q, which is his main nuke utility. It gives a stun depending on how it hits. Slow.
So yeah, let's just quickly.
So I guess that would be an advantage, Adam.
Let's quickly talk here with this. Is that Cosmic Binding is Q? He fires out a burst of spirit energy, and it stuns if it goes through the first thing it hits, and then if it hits another champion, or does it minion as well?
Anything.
It's anything.
Okay,
It's
so
anything.
Terrain.
Okay, so it So it goes through whatever it hits first, and the second thing it hits, it stuns both the targets it hits. So if you can hit 2 champions, you can stun 2 champions. Can you stun 3 champions? Like, it's not an AoE, right?
No.
It's a line.
No, it's a line.
Just 2.
Okay, so Cosmic Binding does that. It stuns if you hit a wall, if you hit a minion, whatever you hit, it stuns everything it hits in the line. Caretaker Shrine, again, is that W that you put down, and that gains over a few seconds. Over 10
seconds.
Over 10
goes up.
seconds. Right, it's a heal. A magical journey. Everyone knows that's the, as it says, you open a portal in a wall that goes onto the other side of a wall, and you can go. And you and enemies can both click and go through it. You cannot fire projectiles through it, however.
Well,
Wait, what do you mean by that?
You can't fire like a Ezreal Q and have it go through the portal and out the other side and hit somebody.
There's actually
Oh yeah,
there's
okay, yeah, that's what you mean.
a pretty awesome video on Reddit showing basically all or the lack thereof of interactions between abilities in the portal. So like if Vayne were to EU into the portal, you would just hit the wall and you wouldn't go through the portal until after you're stunned. If you're
in the portal. If you're in the portal and get hit by Vayne E, you're gonna get stunned because it'll just knock you out of there and then onto the wall. I don't know how it picks which side you come out on.
Deposit you and then stun you? Yeah, I'm curious.
Yes, it deposits you.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, you can be targeted during the journey, and anything that displaces you will remove you from it. Any CC that is applied to you you'll still finish the journey, but the CC will carry over after you.
The one thing that
exited.
didn't have is Poppy Charge doesn't work on it, which is weird.
That is very interesting.
Yeah, that was the one that I saw that was like, wait, what? Really?
Oh,
that
it
one
doesn't stun
go?
you? Just stops?
Yeah, it didn't. It didn't. I don't know if it even stopped you. Like, I remember it being very significantly different than Vayne's Condemn, so that was kind of really, really funky.
Yeah,
I wonder how
knocked
Cyan
back.
kicks a minion,
Scene.
if it'll hit the wall and stop, or I don't know. I'll
Yeah,
have
that's
to try it out.
interesting.
But yeah, that's his E, and then his ultimate is pretty much. It's got a long range, like Ziggs ult, pretty much.
It's 2,500.
Yeah,
But
Ziggs is double that, but it's a very large area.
Oh,
right?
okay. Yeah, it's a large area, and he lobs in a small AoE. He lobs this thing that hits and pretty much gives everyone a Zonias for 2.5 seconds, including turrets and minions.
Anything.
Yes.
Anything,
yeah.
but except for it won't give you Nexus. It won't Zonia's inhibitors. It won't do those 2 things.
Right, and then including allies though, as
Yes.
well. So there's a troll factor on this. You know, Riot has done a good job in preventing you from doing things that prevent allies from doing things. Except for now they're slowly introducing it with the Kalista ult, for example, and now this. So as long as you don't encounter that troll who's just trying to, at least it's an ultimate and it's on a long cooldown. But it is kind of cool. I was using it to catch up to champions. You know, make sure everybody's positioned properly, or to buy time if I wanted to save my carry. You know, I would throw it on my carry while he's getting burst or something. Things like that. So it has kind of cool applications. It's just, he's a weird champion. All these abilities.
It does seem to have a lot of uses, but it's something that you kind of have to practice in order to use optimally, I'd say. Just because there is that risk that you could just screw it up and make everything worse.
I think this is
I
like the
screwed it up a
new.
lot.
I think this is like the new Jarvan ult. Remember all the old memes with like Jarvan, I'm helping.
I'm helping.
This is like Jarvan ult times like to the 100th power. Like it's just so trollable, and it's a really really great ability. And I don't think that he particularly has a very high skill floor, like especially with his heal and his things like that. Like I think you can come in at pretty much any level and play him to a reasonable degree. But I think that ult and the proper use of his tunnel is really what's going to set like his skill ceiling to like a higher level of play, because getting used to that and using it properly and the decision making process that will go behind that is going to be like a pretty high level skill.
He's weird because you've got a lot of different factors with Bard. You've got a skill shot ability. You've got a heal that's placed and can be picked. So you got to kind of think about when you want to do that. Strategize how you want to use the shrine. But then, yeah, strategize. Well, in the words of our old president.
And you give me shit every day.
Then to use and then Ian, yeah, right. No, but then his E and his ult are completely different. They're like you have to play mind games with them to use them effectively. You can use them obviously like the magical journey to get some distance to get across the map quicker and collect more chimes. But if you're going to use it as a hey, I'm going to try to win the game with this ability over time, you've got to really think about it. Same thing with his ultimate, because it's not, you cannot pick out an optimal situation until you're in game and say, oh shit, I've got to use this right now for this. And that it can be anything from like saving a turret or what.
Well, the other thing is it can be such an issue. Like if you screw up the ult just a little bit, that's the difference between potentially keeping an ally alive or helping
giving
kill
the enemy
them.
timing to kill them.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many things that could go wrong, just timing wise, that you're gonna have to be really, really on point on how you land that, or else it's just gonna be not pretty.
Yeah, like your cannon flashes in with his ult, and then you boom, you hit your ult at the same time. You might not want to do that.
That being said, this is gonna be a decent way to
set up and initiate.
Yeah, set up, initiate, counter engage. If a team starts to like hard engage on you and you can catch 3 of them out and there's only 2 of them that can commit, you can just turn around and murder them as fast as you can. And then when everybody else comes out of the ult, it's like, oh hey, you can actually flip the fight. But
or if one of them initiates, you can ult the back line.
Right.
So now they're caught out and you have 2.5 seconds to blow them up.
So if this is coded like a Zhonya's, does that mean Swain just got an indirect buff if he's ever in that in there? Like, because Swain can heal while he's Zonya's.
No,
I think it will cancel his ability.
In that area is all messed up. Yeah.
Yeah,
really?
I don't think.
I haven't tried that.
But I'm just saying, if it's coded like a Zonya's, because you can Zonya's as Swain's ult and gain life back still.
And if it did work like that, he would have to be kind of frozen at the edge of it, because everything else around him is going to be frozen as well. So if he was caught in the middle, he wouldn't be able to heal off of anything.
Wouldn't damage everything around him. Yep. Good point.
Just something to test.
I mean, you could potentially get somebody like Fiddlesticks who ults from the side. You just catch him on the edge of it, and he's just sitting there on the fringe while they engage on the people that are in the Bard Zonias, eating damage for free if it doesn't cancel his ultimate. That would be some crazy anticipation.
Yeah.
But I could see it happening.
But I just don't think it interacts that way. Although that would
I think it'd be hilarious if you see your Fiddlesticks about to jump the wall and you fire it just so it's going to hit that edge, and so they see the circle coming up from Bard Ultimate and say, oh, we don't want to be in that, back off. Suddenly they're just on the edge. There's a Fiddle who's ulted and has that, and now they're getting fucked over. I think it should work though, because I don't know, I haven't heard anything that tells it differently than Zonya's to stop something that's just
what's it
going
on.
We're gonna go on the PBE, and when we're done with this, to give this more try, and it's something we can report back on Monday.
Right. Yeah. By the way, one more thing about the chimes. You did mention it, but it gives you a slight movement speed increase when you run over the chime, and then he looks like he's flying, like Superman flying when he runs him over one. But they stack, so if you can, it's a certain time that it goes away, like
8 second duration.
Something. Okay, it's 8 seconds, and then if you run over another chime, boom, it stacks more movement speed on top. And then you can go over. I think I had 4 at once, and then I ran over one of my little healing shrines, and I had over 600 movement speed, something like that. So, if you are running away and there are chimes, you might want to keep chimes in your retreat path to help if you're worried about that.
I think Mitch, you were saying that the speed goes away once you get hit by something.
Well, no, it's right. Very different because the the shrine, the move speed is regardless. You can use that in combat. The chimes is out of combat. So if you're fighting and you think, oh crap, I got to run, and you collect one, it's not going to give you any move speed because it doesn't count that. You have to be out of combat, just like Moby boots have to be.
The nice
Yep.
thing about this, though, is using this as a roam, like using the move speed for it as a roam. I've seen people like stack, like if you put your shrines in your path and you run over them, even if you're not using them for the healing, you get like a good decent amount of move speed out of it. The people who have been running out of the jungle, that gives you a lot of mobility to kind of get onto people and things like that.
And the movement speed from the shrine doesn't grow over time. It's flat, so you can just throw it down immediately and then
Right.
and get this full speed boost.
Doesn't stack them. But
And the other thing that I like about them, and it's with supports, you're not supposed to get a ton of items. That's not really how supports are balanced. They're made to be the most effective supports are able to do their job without any items. But the problem with that is that you don't scale as well into the late game as a support generally. And with Thresh, they introduced the souls, which gave him stats throughout the game and allowed him to just naturally gain some tankiness. He gained a little AP, and he was able to scale it a little bit better into the late game with those. And with this, it adds another dimension to that where you're actually gaining more utility. Like once you get up to 45, which is a completely reasonable thing to be by, mid or mid-late game, you get that 45% slow on your auto attacks as long as you have a Meep up. And, that's not really difficult because mid-late game, you're not really poking a lot with him. So you should have it up when you need it. And then once you get up to like 85, it goes up to, 60%, I believe? So that's a decent amount of utility that you're adding on top of the basic stats that you're getting. So even though the actual experience doesn't scale well into the late game, I don't think that's really their biggest asset by any means. I think it's just the ability to keep you in the game and to help you, gain a little bit more usefulness as you go on.
yeah, and a late game when I was going on a chime collecting rampage, I got it up to 80%, and then I had 4 Meeps. So you throw it 80% slow. You do another auto attack, it refreshes the timer on that slow, and then you do it for all your 4 Meeps. So it's pretty good, pretty decent damage too. With the cone behind it, you can clear a wave, etc. So it's neat when you do get a lot of chime stacks with your auto attack, but it's kind of, I don't know, it seems more like a gravy kind of thing. I guess you could use the slow, which is great. You hold on to a Meep and you can use it to help protect your carry or set up an engage, but it's still within your short auto attack range. So it's more of a disengage tool, or unless you're gonna flash Meep somebody for whatever reason.
I think in general he fits better into disengage comps, poke comps, counter engage, things like that, because his ultimate doesn't offer any. Yes, you can use it as an engage, but then your entire team collapses and you can't do anything until they're out of. Right, and then you can't do anything till they're out of stasis anyway. So it gives them a chance to respond, and I guess you could catch up, but it's not like a Mumu ult where you do damage to them. Like you can't do anything to them. So it's better as like a counter engage. Like if you want to catch their backline out, it's really good for getting your team out if you're being collapsed on. It's great for like pick comps if you want to grab someone out of the jungle, especially since it has a crazy long range. But it's really good in those situations, and I feel like the Meeps kind of adds on to that theme where you're, mid-late game, you're not really going to be poking with him. You're not really going to be autoing very much, but you can stand by your ADC, and you can use that to slow whoever is closing in on him.
For as much as that you talk about how, not you, Days, just you in general, is that excuse me, I'm trying to collect my thoughts. I have 2 thoughts here that's running through my head. One, there are people who say that this might cause bad habits by roaming all the time, but on another note, I think this will teach really good, not the roaming, but just Bard will teach really good habits, because it'll teach you to stick by your AD carry, because he has nothing that he should be. There's really nothing in his kit that screams play me offensively, because every piece of his kit is a defensive maneuver, just like Days had just went through, between the stasis alt, between the Q stunning 2 people or 1 person. You have the heal, that's utility. All of this stuff screams protect my carry, give him a heal, give him a speed boost, and keep him alive. And I think that,
yeah, I agree with that.
I think this should teach. Hopefully, this will teach people that if they're playing him correctly, or they should learn quickly that you should be sticking to your AD carry, because that's how you should play him, because that's what his kit offers. It offers my AD carry utility.
But then on the same token, it encourages you to depart from your AD carry to go
I think it's
scavenger
two different
hunting for
stages of the
chimes.
game, is what Adam was trying to say.
Yeah,
Right.
Because during the laning
if-
phase, you'll be roaming more. But
And if
during
you're
team
behind,
fights,
you're not
going to
go venture into a dark jungle looking for chimes.
That too.
if
I
you're getting your
think-
butt kicked.
I think that it's, although for some people will develop bad habits because they will roam unnecessarily to play a mini game that's not part of the overall game. That's going to happen. That happens with Thresh. People will walk in and take like 3/4 of their life in harass to try to pick up one soul.
Right.
I mean, it just happens. People are going to make bad decisions with it. But I do think that what it will encourage is it will make you think, if I go drop a ward here, then I can pick up this chime on the way. And, good supports, especially the higher you get, like, they will, if their ADC is fine or in between waves, they will roam up and they'll ward that bush behind red, or they'll ward dragon, or they'll ward somewhere else, and then you come back. I don't think it necessarily has to do, like, when people think roaming support, they think like the old Tarek and Alistar, or you think Leona or Annie coming up to mid and like making a big play. Like, he doesn't have that sort of kit. Like, you should be building him as like tanky CDR, team oriented, like peel for your carry, like ultimate team play champion.
Yeah,
But-
although he has the abilities to gank, he doesn't bring
Exactly.
any damage to follow up with it.
No.
So if the enemy jungler is nearby to counter gank, then he pretty much loses that skirmish. He needs to gank with the jungler if he's going to do that.
right.
Yeah, what I want to see is interesting uses of his ult to help facilitate a Baron steal or a Dragon steal. Little things like that, just stasis the jungler or stasis the whole Baron or Dragon itself to buy your jungler time to time it, maybe. I want to see how those kind of fights go with a Bard in play.
Bard is that type of champion where I think you'll see some kind of LCS play at some point. Do I know what type of comp or how he'll be played? No, but I do think that he'll do more harm than good in solo queue until he's out for a couple months and there's a couple of videos made, and then we can go back and really touch on him and people really get an idea how to play him. Speaking of, I believe, Days, you've talked about trying to stream more on the T-Force podcast channel, so I'm sure as soon as Bard is out, you'll be playing him, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you can try to learn from, a high level support of, what you can, what you can't do, while she learns it herself, which it should be a lot of fun. So with all that Bard discussion, I think we're going to move on from it. I know everyone has a ton of stuff they still want to say about him, but we spent quite
There's so much more to
I need to
talk
talk about my jungle.
You could make an awesome Santa Claus skin with him because he already kind of looks like it.
Okay, well,
point.
you know what? Then I was going to move on to the next
Or a coconut.
PvE item.
No, please move on.
Cinderhulk,
What was the
or
next
whatever the
one?
hell it's called. I can't remember the name of the
Balmy
damn item.
Cinder.
Cinderhulk?
It's Cinderhulk, right?
Yeah, Balmy Cinder
goes
is
into it.
Balmy Cinder is the new item, and then Cinderhulk is the new enchant, which replaces Juggernaut enchant, the Smitem enchant. But anyway, Balmy Cinder is now one of the build items for the Sunfire Cape, and it has a passive effect called Immolate, where it pretty much has the Sunfire Cape effect. It does some damage to everyone around you. Now, when you build it into the Cinderhulk, it changes that effect slightly. It makes it so that it has the effect, but then it increases in potency the longer you're in combat, up to 10 stacks, which is roughly, I think, double the damage, or an extra 100% of the damage. So, late game, I was looking at, I think it was 45, but it's the damage 15 plus 1 per level, and then it stacks up based on how long you're in combat. So, it helps tanky junglers, I guess, who aren't doing that much damage in the jungle. It doesn't really help the early clear because you still gotta wait till you get that enchant. Balmy Cinder itself is 1,000 gold, Giant's Belt cost, just for that little prereq item, and then you gotta build it into the Cinderhulk enchantment. So it does help a little bit, but by then, if you have a Trailblazer, I don't know. I haven't really noticed any real increase in speed with jungling. I did just mess around with it on Scion. I bought it, and then I stood in Dragon Pit next to the dragon and killed it without using any abilities, just to see what kind of damage it did. But I guess you get a Thornmail, then the Gromp buff, the Gifted Toadstool, when you smite the Gromp. That was changed to scale now. So all those things together do equate to anybody hitting you taking more damage, or being near you taking more damage. And it encourages you as a tank to stay in the middle of the fight. That's pretty much it. It does add percent health, which is nice, so it scales better than Juggernaut into the late game.
Does it answer the problem, or does it fix the problem that tank junglers have a slow early clear?
See,
No, it doesn't.
No.
That's an issue, especially with the fact that it's missing some CDR as well. People were saying, I mean, this was another debate that was on Reddit, that if you're buying this item, you're missing out on some of the CDR that you'd get otherwise. And since a lot of those tanky junglers are so, getting CDR helps them so much, they're going to have to band-aid that loss of CDR with other items such as a Frozen Heart, which in turn doesn't give you any extra health, which doesn't make your Cinderhulk
Which doesn't add
help
to it,
you
yeah.
at all. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to play around with this a bit before I have a feeling. I'm actually kind of sad to see Juggernaut go, just because I actually did
The
like that
tenacity.
item. Yeah, that's the exact reason. I really
I
like
love the
that.
tenacity on it,
I
yeah.
love that item on Bruisers out of the jungle. You can do a lot of really annoying stuff and not be slowed down ever if you took that and movement boots. But
Well, yeah,
I-
you should get Mobies as a jungler anyway, so
yeah.
now with the Juggernaut, you don't need to worry about tenacity. Getting
Well,
the
you
merc
didn't. Now
Now you
that
do.
that's gone, you do. So
Right.
it's one of those things. Like I'm excited if it brings back other junglers, but it's one of those things. You're trading a bunch of issues from one sphere for a bunch of potential issues in another, and until I see it played out, I won't have a definitive answer.
It felt meh. It didn't really feel amazing to me. If you could stack it with Sunfire Cape, maybe that would be a lot better.
Double up and
That would be like the old Garrett days
And then
where you
go
bought five
Mundo.
Sunfire capes.
With Burning Agony and all that stuff, and just stand next to people and get Fury Enchant on Swift Boots, and just keep auto attacking and sticking next to people. But yeah, I did it with Scion in a game and against bots, and I based on your W adding health, and then that bonus health is added to the Cinderhulk bonus. I had 5,700 health in a late game build, so that was pretty cool. Cho'Gath level, but other than that,
The idea I like behind it, and I'm pretty biased because I really like seeing a tank come out of the jungle, or at least someone who's not building
damage.
like full damage, like a full damage Pantheon coming in and like ulting into their team and just disintegrating upon impact. And I like the idea that they're trying to encourage that tanky build by putting the percent bonus health and the extra damage for staying in the fight. I mean, that
Right.
just screams you want to be as tanky as possible. It's giving you a way to still do damage and so that you can't be ignored, but it's encouraging you to kind of build that supporty, full tank kind of thing out of the jungle. So I do like that. I don't know if they really accomplish what they want, and all of the concerns that you guys have said are very, very legitimate concerns, and hopefully they can address them. But I really like the direction they're going with it, where they're trying to accommodate the knowledge that you need some sort of damage in a fight, but still encourage people to take into consideration the need for a tank on your team.
Yeah, looking at it, the fact that it doesn't have CDR is what really
It's
turns
big.
me off. Because
Yeah, absolutely.
if I'm playing a Mumu or Sejuani, for example, I generally go toward Magus because it has that extra CDR, and having just 20% CDR on an item for somebody who has an ultimate that's 180 seconds, 160 seconds, or whatever it is.
Especially if you can get it early. Like
Yeah.
that's.
I mean, I'm sure it's
huge.
actually less than that at 120 seconds or something. Again, terrible. I cannot remember off the top of my head. I should have looked it up. But still, yes, they have like really giant cooldown ults, right? For what I'm saying. But so if you can knock that down to 100 seconds, that makes the difference between your next gank, for example. Or if you can knock it down to 60 seconds before you make it to level 3 by having that little extra CDR, that is what makes that tanky jungler even better. Because most of the tanky junglers have an impactful ultimate.
Right.
That's
Oh,
what's changing the
absolutely.
team
they're
fight.
utility based.
Well, and that extra CDR cutting off all that time gives you potentially, 1, 2, 3, however many extra ultimates throughout the course of the game, which I don't know about anybody else, but I like using abilities to change fights. So
Me too.
Yep.
Now, well, with Cinderhulk, now you got to get the Frozen Heart and Spirit Visage. Boom.
So
There you go.
Just more gold.
Regardless.
I know that there's not a lot of people that are building that CD. And I'm not saying there's not a lot of people, but Oh shoot! What the hell is Diamond building on Sejuani? Somebody, I know somebody out here can give me that real quick. Yes,
I don't know.
no.
I like to sit on the Kindle gem towards my Juggernaut.
I think most
You know,
people do.
nice
Right?
cheap way to get some CDR,
You
which
can
is
sit on
nice.
a Kindle gem forever.
Oh yeah.
Especially with junglers like Amumu and Sejuani and things like that. You can't fight without them, really. I mean, you can, but it's so important to have those massive AoE stuns that people purposely stall fights and plan their fights around them. And
that's right.
to
They're
not have the
building
CDR, it's really difficult to not have that CDR available.
Yes.
Like I was saying, I actually do like Juggernaut, but the problem is that we're running into that same issue where the diversity of the jungle just shifts between the items that they end up like
I'm most
throwing.
powerful at the time.
Exactly. So like, look at the beginning of the current jungle changes when Devourer was a motherfucker. Warwick was crazy. You know,
Master
Udyr.
Yi and
Yeah, Udyr was crazy.
And
Master
Warwick.
Yi. Warwick again.
Aatrox came back.
Yeah, I mean, like that. The diversity wasn't any better when that was strong as it is now with the current junglers. I mean, Vi and Jarvan have a giant pass because they're broken for the most part.
And even Jarvan's starting to slowly fall off now.
Well, I mean, with the free stats being lost, you're just taking more damage out of the
But that
jungle.
makes Vi more powerful.
Exactly. It's actually a noticeable amount more damage that you're taking. The problem is though, I can see what they're doing with the way that they've made the itemization for this sort of item work, is that they don't want to make it too crazy early, because if they do, then all the tanky junglers came back and you don't see anything else.
Right.
But like, I actually kind of like the tankier jungle meta as it was anyway, because it opens up more of those carry top laners, or
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I
One of the
started.
others, Tanky.
Hey, you and me both, Chira. I fucking hated last season because I love Shyvana, and then suddenly she got really popular. Now then I was like, I don't want to play this champion anymore. Everyone's playing her, and I hated playing
Trinity
Mundo.
Lankas?
So yeah, just keep the tanks to the jungle. Let the junglers play.
Well,
them.
I mean,
don't wanna touch
I'm
them.
okay. Like, I don't know how they're gonna find a sweet spot, because it's either gonna be a situation like right now where the two best junglers at the moment, or I mean, I guess best if you want to call Jarvan and Vi the two best. Fiddlesticks might be up there too, but
Nidalee.
the two best, Nidalee, the two best junglers, or I guess two most popular pick junglers other than Nidalee, they're basically faux assassins in the fact that they can blow people
Single
up
someone
pretty
out.
easily,
Mhm.
and they're still innately tanky. So I mean, they're kind of like more towards the assassin edge than the bruiser, but like Vi, you
Well-
can build her really damage heavy and still have still be pretty durable, and that's how
To-
Jarvan
Well,
was
the
before.
inverse is also the problem, where you can build them very tanky and you still can't, you're not ignorable. Like, you still do ridiculous amounts of damage and
Right.
nobody can kill you.
Like Sion.
Or they spend 2 months trying to kill you, and then your backline can do whatever the hell they want because everything was wasted trying to get the Vi off of the carry.
To be fair to all those points, Chira, though, every season we've seen this the same exact thing happened. It happened in season 4, where we had everybody and their brother was playing Master Yi with Wriggle's Lantern, and everybody was playing
Right.
those like super carry junglers. Xin Zhao was really popular and everything, and then they started to slowly nerf it, bring other items in there, Spirit Stone, etc. And then we got to tanky junglers by the end, and now the same thing is happening now that we're in this new season.
But that's all based on itemization changes, and that's
Correct.
just exactly it. They have
I'm just saying
not,
we're doing the same pattern as we've done.
Yeah,
every
no,
single
it's-
season.
it's
The
exactly
season starts
like
out
that.
with carriers, and then it goes into the ones who can carry if they get fed, or can go tanky, like Dave said, and let their team carry. So until they start to change those champions, like Vi and J4 have all these free stats on their kit, I think we're going to continue to see those type of champions, those hybrid champions.
right.
I could be completely wrong because of course I don't work on like the balance team, but I feel like the difficulty in balancing jungle is you're not gated by another person in your lane. So when you have, the top lane meta changes because people find ways to counter whoever's really strong in top lane, and they develop better ways to deal with that. And that sort of thing changes throughout the course of the season, and people get smarter and new strategies come along. With the jungle, there's a certain amount of safety, and it's the first part of the game is a very PvE oriented thing. So a lot of your scaling and a lot of your play is based on getting certain items at a certain times. And so the balancing is very much centered around what items are strong right now, as opposed to what items work with your team comps or can, counter what other champions or things like that. I feel like that's one of the difficulties in balancing the jungle. Is just the items are the strongest thing that you have to balance around.
Well, the items are one of the only things to balance around.
Right.
The only other thing is a champion like Elise, who's solid regardless of whatever item is powerful at the time, and they end up just breaking the kit down into a point where she's not as overbearing anymore. And you can go that route, but then again, if you do find a sweet spot in nerfing a champion, and then the items change again, that champion might not be effective anymore.
Right.
So like, it's one of those things where in lanes you're balancing against X champion to Y champion. In jungle, you're balancing what items are the strongest at the time in that early game, particularly, and whatever champions have the ability to clear the jungle in a way that allows them to still impact lanes throughout the entirety of the laning phase.
Here's a negative effect that I found out with the Cinderhulk item. I built it on Scion. You're pushing a turret. You're attacking a turret. If they just step next to you, the turret aggroes you now.
Well,
because
that's
you damage them.
That's
That's a Sunfire too.
Right, but if you're building Sunfire,
I
which
can
on
remember when
Scion I usually
Sunfire
don't,
was- I remember when Sunfire was popular in season 3 because you would. I remember walking
Because
up.
of that.
Punch was there actually. Do you remember when I walked up to Baron to kill a ward and I aggroed Baron and forced us to like lose Baron or something?
yeah.
Yes, that was fun.
Yeah, I
great.
was Renekton with the Sunfire Cape, walked up to kill a ward, aggro Baron, and I think forced two of us to go back. I don't remember what happened in the game, but shit like that happens with Sunfire,
Yeah, and the same thing happens obviously with Cinderhulk, and you just got to be aware of that. Even if you didn't buy Sunfire, you got that Cinderhulk. You're going to be doing that. So
I'm sitting here
Now,
trying
see
to remember
what you did with Scion against the dragon, DeClawd, that you were telling us before the podcast started.
yeah, I
You got a
would.
Cinderhulk.
I got Cinderhulk, and then I smited the Gromp to get the Gromp damage, which now scales throughout the game better. It does a lot of damage. And then I just sat in the Dragon Pit and hit S next to the dragon and killed him. I didn't use any abilities. So, but I was Scion. I was Uber
What
tank.
level were you when that happened?
What did I do it at? 14? 13 or 14, I think.
Okay.
So it was pretty well.
Sounds like a new meta.
I decided
Definitely.
to try it.
Yeah, this stand AFK and murder
Yeah.
neutral monsters
Yeah.
meta.
Yeah.
Obviously
so-
not a legitimate
you know.
strat, but it speaks to the potency of the Gromp buff and the
Right.
Cinderhulk.
Yeah, when you got, and then I didn't have a Thornmail, but if I did, that would have added to it, obviously.
It's
Or if I was
interesting.
Rammus, defensive ball curl, or his ultimate. All that AoE damage around Rammus, I think he would be good for this item. Like if they had
It's
a
gonna be
Juggernaut
best at raid fights.
I would Cinderhulk on Rammus over Juggernaut probably later in the game. But everyone else, I would Juggernaut over Cinderhulk, which is why they probably replaced it. Because why would you choose one over the other?
Well, that's something we didn't mention that you just quickly mentioned in passing. I just want to make sure that people are aware that the Gromp buff now does scale with levels as you smite it.
Yeah.
And
Because-
I'm kind of excited to see if this ends up making it to where people are taking priority in what segment of the jungle. Like, if somebody's playing a tanky jungler, is it worth going in and killing that Gromp before they can get there so that they can't get it to slow down their speed or anything like that, since it does scale later in the game? Like, you can actually, in a way, it'd be kind of interesting if, depending on what champions you were playing, there were specific segments of the jungle you should be targeting over others to add sort of another layer.
Right.
But
I'm still at the point where I think that people should be killing the raptors, the enemy raptors near
whenever they can.
dragon whenever they can, so that you can't smite it to get the buff to use it to clear. I brought that back up when we talked to Foxdrop. I think that what does he call them? Chickens? Did the chickens?
Yeah, the chickens.
become a highly contested camp, and it hasn't seemed to, and who the hell knows if it's actually going to. But I'm still under the impression that people should be killing that and keeping that under their control as much as they keep their buffs and everything under control, because that camp, just getting a smite can set you up for in 15 seconds for the dragon. But I guess that's another conversation another time. I do know that cerealbawkz, you have been on the PvE and you want to talk Mandrake for a little bit.
I mean, did you guys talk about it on a previous episode yet?
We
Or
have
at
not
least
even
tell people
mentioned
what it is.
We have not even mentioned it.
The Rek'Sai ward.
Okay, so yeah, essentially. So Mandrake ward is it counts as a stealth ward, but what it does is it provides 0 vision. It has to go into a brush, and then whenever an enemy champion comes within 1,000 units of it, it sends off the warning ping on that location.
But shows
it doesn't tell
vision.
you who it is.
Right.
It gives you nothing. It gives you nothing else except that an enemy champion is within 1,000 radius of it. So I haven't actually gotten to use it besides just to see, oh crap, it's in the game. Let's at least try to see what happens with it against a bot. I think it's going to be very useful in something like like the tribe rush behind you if you're in bot lane and you're scared of somebody coming in through there, but you don't want to, you don't have a ward. It's cheaper. It's only 35 gold, I believe. So it's a little bit better in terms of price, but again, no vision. I don't know if it could be cleared by a sweeper.
How
I don't
long
really
does
know a
that
lot of the
last?
interactions. It lasts 2 minutes, so it's not
Okay.
quite as long as a normal ward, but it's longer than a trinket at early
Now,
levels.
If you have vision of the only champion that's within 1,000 yards or 1,000 radius or whatever you want to call it, does the pinging stop? So like, this is a really dumb reason to ever use this ward, but say you're in top lane and you drop the ward in a top lane brush because you have to drop it in a brush. Will it go off the entire time you're up there because the enemy top laner is right next to that brush?
That wouldn't be annoying.
Because
I
I
don't
could see
quite know
people
what the cooldown
intentionally
is.
trolling teams like their own team with
I'm
pings.
gonna gander that or take a guess that it pings once, and then but if you walk back in the range, so I guess potentially if you know the range on it, maybe you could walk in and out. But
I'm gonna guess I'm gonna guess, and I don't know this right, that if you were to walk within that range and then walk out real quick and then walk back in, it might ping twice. But I think once you've entered the range, it won't ping again until you have left and then come back.
Exited.
Also
so
important,
it's like a proximity around that
yeah.
radius.
But it also an important thing. It does ping for invisible units, so
Okay.
that's different. It can deal with a Rengar or a
Yeah,
give you a
Eve-
little bit of an
Eve.
exclamation mark beforehand.
yeah,
Yeah, Eve. Yeah, no.
No, I mean, I could see that be like it'd be great if you were to drop it somewhere, and if you can see the champion that's in it, or see the champion enter it, it won't necessarily ping when they cross that threshold or whatever. That way, you knew, oh, I'm fighting so and so here. It's kind of weird that they're sticking around, and you have that ward up in a certain area, and you're technically like just crossed the threshold with whoever you're chasing, and then all of a sudden it starts going off, and it's like, oh, somebody else is showing up because it wouldn't have gone off if you were seeing just the one person who had crossed it.
Yeah, I haven't really gotten to test it because all I did was throw it in a lane brush with a Caitlyn bot, and whenever she came back in me, and that's about all I got to see. I didn't really get to test anything other than saying, wait, how does it work a little bit? And the only going in brush thing is kind of interesting. Like, you can't throw it anywhere in the map. It has to be into a
Right.
brush somewhere.
I mean, I could see it being like a pretty good spot for it would be that one like singular brush on either side of the river, between Baron and Dragon respectively in the lane. Like that would be an interesting spot to put it because I mean 1,000 rate like 1,000 distance is a pretty decent chunk for anybody who's gonna potentially cross from one side of the jungle into the other to steal a camp or anything like that. And then always the brush
and a
slightly behind you.
ping is generally, well, I would say always paid more attention to than a
Then-
MIA in chat.
Well, and
Or-
not
or-
only that, but
Well-
even people who ward and don't pay attention to their sight wards,
Right.
this is a potential band-aid fix to that. If the game is yelling at you, danger, you're about to die, and at least if you have your sound on, you're probably more likely to back the hell out of there.
So my first thought about this was, oh my god, this is going to be great for low elo, because the biggest problem there is
Right.
the people who do know how to ward don't know how to watch the wards. But the problem is exactly what you mentioned. It is a band-aid fix, and it will teach you extremely bad habits, because if you ward and then you put it out a little bit farther and you're like, okay, well, if I hear a ping, then I'll look at the ward, then it's not teaching you anything. It's teaching you to rely on that instead of learning map awareness on your own. So when you get higher up and you can't waste if you're trying to ward with those and you have them and you're trying to use them throughout the entire game, that's a lot of gold spent. And I think they're going to be absolutely essential against, the Twitch jungles, the Rangars, the Eve jungles, things like that. They're going to be like new staples. But I would caution against using them as a band-aid fix for map awareness.
They kind of filled that role, not with being able to necessarily see invisible people, but at least notifying that any champion that can stealth is around.
Right.
So like now you have that little extra thing to keep invisible champions by just running around doing whatever the heck they want. But the problem is, what invisible champions other than a pretty fed rank are popping out and destroying your AD carry are major problems at the moment.
This makes me think that if they put something like this in, they could give power back to someone like Eve.
Definitely.
Oh, absolutely.
Who was nerfed into the ground before because people had to completely change their playstyle to play against her. And they're like, well, this isn't any fun, so we're going to, take power away from her so that people are against picking her in the first place.
It's not
but now
just...
with something like this, they can add some power back.
Right, it's not just and changing your playstyle against her, it's literally extra gold that you have to spend just to counterplay that champion that your enemy team doesn't have to spend. So just by choosing that champion, you're causing, even if you never gank, you're causing them to buy those pinks, you're causing them to, spend that extra gold, which is going to put you behind naturally, even if you don't get behind just from the gank. So yeah, this will create a situation where there's a more reasonable counterplay, a ton of pinks, which they're just going to clear anyways. And this will give, like you guys mentioned, a good way to, see if we can... Right, to notify you, but then also see if they can give something back to Eve and to, those champions so that you can actually, put those champions in a better place than they are right now.
So, follow me here. What if we can use this as a podcast to help players learn map awareness? And that's and follow me here, and I'm just spitballing right now. And that's, we could potentially tell people to buy the Mandrake ward, drop it somewhere, and try to always pay attention to that area. Always try to look at that Mandrake ward every, a couple seconds, every 4 or 5 seconds, whatever. And if you do, rather than listening for the ping, you'll see the ping before the sound goes off, and that'll help you teach you map awareness, because you're always forced to keep a look at the map at that one area.
Mandrake ward hard mode. Turn your sound all the way
no
off
sound.
and buy nothing but Mandrake ward.
Again, I'm just spitballing
What
ways
about-
that we can use this to teach people map awareness.
The best
because-
way that I could think of to do that is, so you put your ward, let's say you put your ward at Dragon, right? And then you put your Mandrake ward in the bush by river. Say you're in bot lane and you put it in that bush by river. And your job, like every 2 creeps that you kill, is to look at the ward and see if there's someone there, which is something that they teach you. That's one way they teach map awareness. And it's almost like a game of operation. If you hear that beep, you lost because you weren't looking at your ward long enough or soon enough, because you should have seen them before they ever got to that ward.
I like that idea. If you can afford it, I mean, obviously.
Even
we
if
just
you
talked
do
about
that in just normal games, like with, with friends, or, if you're playing against bots or whatever you do to like practice. Like, I don't think it's reasonable to do in ranked to practice that way, but I think that when you're playing normals, that's a perfectly reasonable way to teach yourself map awareness.
Yeah, I think
I think there's a little bit of extra. I think there's another thing about that we haven't talked about is the fact that it's cheaper. So a lot of people that haven't been buying green wards might be a bit more incentivized to get this. In addition to the fact that you could have an 80 carry coming back with one of those, because if your support's already maxed out their 3 stealth wards, they can't place a Mandrake one without losing a ward. So your 80 carry doesn't usually have very many wards on the map. It's kind of a free one for the cost of a health potion. You can maybe get a little bit more vision for your bot lane if the 80 carry doesn't yell at you because he's in bronze and says, oh, I need that money for my 1/10 of my longsword coming up.
Right. Now, just because I may have missed this, is this stuff. There's not a trinket. It's just a ward, right? This is like
Just a ward.
It's
It is.
just a
It
ward.
takes up an item slot. Yes,
Or-
you can buy them. You can buy multiple of them, but it takes up in your amount of wards on map a stealth ward.
Did
Okay.
you notice that it gives off a custom ping?
No,
I'm
it's the
wondering if-
danger ping.
Okay.
It's
Okay,
the
it's
red
danger
ping.
Okay. I
How
wonder
many
if they
can
would
you
have it
drop?
I don't know.
drop
I don't know if that'll change. But
Can
I
you
don't know if
drop
that'll
more
change
than
when
one
they
at
do it,
once?
I don't. I didn't even know this was even available until I suddenly picked it up
Okay.
in the.
I
also
can't
wanna
wait.
I think
know-
you could
to
probably
get-
drop 3. I think you could probably drop
Okay.
3, just like you can
Does-
with stealth wards.
Does it also ping the spot that's crossed by the ward, or does it ping on
No,
top of
it,
the
it
ward?
pinged the ward. It pinged
Okay.
the ward is what I
Oh.
saw, and that may have been a little bit of me not making sure, but I think it's just the ward. I think if you knew exactly where they were, that'd be a little bit too strong, because you could pretty much have it over a wall and know exactly which direction they're coming from.
And where they're at.
Like
at
if you're
all
in that tri-bush, yeah. So I think it's smarter to have it be the ward that's pinged instead of a specific area.
right.
But
It makes sense
that's my
because we're in
yeah.
the area. Danger! There's something over here. I think that this is one of those where give us a week. I'm gonna go try it. I just want to try to pick it up tonight because
All 5 boards, all 5 Bard, all 5 Mandrake wards only. See who
Right.
wins.
after
No
this,
items otherwise.
So right now we're talking. This is Wednesday the 4th. I'm going to try to stream Bard after this because I couldn't stream earlier, but I'm going to try it again. And over the next few days until Bard's released, I'm going to try to get more people to stream. Just so you guys know, as a podcast, as a community, we are going to try and jump on the PBE more often. Everybody has now received a PBE account. Thank you very much, Riot. And we are going to be jumping onto the PBE, testing out a lot of these changes, talking new champions as they come out. But we're only going to talk major changes from now on, unless there's like a major patch that we know is going to hit. So expect that out of us in the future, especially now that we're trying to provide you guys more content, more stuff you want to see, and I think this is a good way to do it. So we're going to jump on the PBE tonight. We're going to try it. I think we're going to come back Monday and just kind of wrap up some of this talk. We're going to talk with Mandrake to see what we found out as we played it. We're going to try Cinderhulk again, maybe just like a 20-minute quick conversation about what we found on the PBE, and then go into whatever we decide to talk about on Monday. So I guess that kind of winds down this podcast. I know we had a lot of technical difficulties and whatnot. Does anybody have anything else, Days or Cereal or anybody that they want to quickly talk about?
Oh, I could quickly talk about Bard for another 20 minutes, but that would kind of defeat the purpose.
Yeah.
You know what? I have a feeling that we're going to have a whole new Bard discussion when he comes out.
When it comes out, yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
more than
Agreed.
welcome to come on, and I will make sure that DeClawd, like, he's not here to defend himself. I know he's listening right now, so no shot against you, buddy. But he was really excited to talk about Bard. So I'll make sure that you're really excited to talk about Bard, and you get your equal
I have
time
a lot
next
of
time.
things to talk about in terms of how you would play him in runes and skill order and stuff, and who to play him with, and that can wait till he's actually available instead of people being like, oh shit, now I really want to try all these things. So it's probably best to hold off on those till.
Mitch, go back
till
to
he's actually
Rundown. You're
released.
taking my stuff.
Hey, I just jumped on the PV.
No, I love you,
I'll
Mitch.
be back there this weekend. Oh, hearts.
No, I asked Mitch to come on because he started playing the PBE. I was like, well, this would be great to have 2 supports talking about it. And then DeClawd played it too, and I was like, oh, all right. Well, who can edge out who and talk about Bard, you know? But yeah, that's good, guys. That is episode number 240 of the Trinity Force podcast. If you guys are asking, we're not doing anything special for 250. I'm only doing special things for every 100 episodes now. we get 50 episodes too quickly. It's like 6 months, 50 episodes.
It's old hat, 50. Who cares?
Yeah, we don't care anymore. We punch
Hey,
out.
we just
hit
did that. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, but 1 episode a week.
Yeah, if even sometimes.
All right, guys, that's episode number 250. Don't forget to go check us out at Podcast Awards. Like I said in the beginning, contest at TrinityForcePodcast.com. Send me an email with a screenshot every time you vote. Vote every single day until the 24th. That's it, guys. It's episode 240 of the Trinity Force Podcast. Thank you so much for watching us. We will see you all next week. Peace.
See ya.
Yeah.